Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, and in this video I will show you how you can make a finger touch controller just as the one they are using in Subway Surfer. And this tutorial works for both iPhone and Android phones. So let's get to it. In this video I will show you how you can move right and left and how you can jump and how the map movements are working. But if you only need the touch point to move right and left, then you can still follow along and it will work. And remember, it works for both iPhone and Android phones. So let's start creating a plane. So we have something to move on. Let's just make it a bit longer, like this. Now remember, in this case we will be moving on the x-axis, so remember that it has to turn like this. So you have the x-axis to the right and left on the map. Now let's create a capsule, and this will be the player. Let's reset the position and let's move him up to 1. So he will just be above the plane. Now on the player, let's add a rigid body. We will of course use the gravity, so we will fall down to the plane. We need to freeze the rotation on X, Y, and Z. Now let's create the touch script. So create a new C# script and call it touch controller and add it to the player like this. And now open it up in Visual Studio. So in here we will need some functions. Let's first make a private vector free, and this will be our first touch. We will need a private vector free for our last touch. We will need a private vector 3 for our current position, and we need a private vector 3 for our move to position. Then we will need a private float for minimum drag distance. So this will be the distance that you are moving. We need a private float for our speed. Private float for speed. And we need a public float for the move speed. And from the get-go, let's just set it to 0.1. And we need a public float for the distance to move. So, I missed that. So, this is what we need to begin with. Now, let's go down to the start function. We need to say our minimum drag distance is equal to our screen dot height times 10 divided by 100. And then we need to go down in the update, and in the update you will have to say if our I just lost myself here. If input dot touch count is greater than 0, so if we are touching the screen, then we can do something. So now we need to say touch is equal to input dot get touch 0. So now we know what touch is. And if touch dot face is equal to touch why can't I find touch face dot begin. So when we start pressing, then we need to say our first touch is equal to our touch dot position. Our last touch is equal to touch dot position. Else if touch dot face is equal to touch, let me copy up here, oops, touch face dot moved. So now we have moved the finger. Then the last touch is equal to touch dot position. Then we need, when we this is when you place your finger, then you have these 2 points, and this is when you move the finger. Then you have your first touch here, and you have your last touch is now this. And now we need to figure out where are the end points, so when you are releasing the finger again. So else if touch dot face equal to touch face dot ended. Now we need to calculate this. Oops, sorry for that. Ended. Let me move this up again. And here we need to say last touch is equal to touch dot position. So now we know where the last point is. Now we need to make it move. Now we know where the points are, but now we need to get the player to move to this position that we have found here. And we need to do that inside this else if ended. And here we have to say if mathf dot apps last touch dot x minus our first touch dot x is less greater than minimum drag distance, and nope, not and yet, sorry, and mathf dot apps last touch dot y minus the first touch dot y is greater than minimum drag distance. Isn't that it? Sorry, that's not this. I have to do like this. So what did I miss here? Did I miss a parenthesis? Yeah, we don't need that one. Yeah, like this. And what this means, this mathf, that is an easy way to calculate this. It is actually the same. It's calculating A and B. So it's actually the same. That it takes this x position. It takes this x position minus these two, and then it calculates it for you. So you don't have to say like this is 3 and this is 3 and result is 0. With this mathf, it will do it for you. So you can just enter these two values and it will calculate it for you. So this is what this means. Good. So now when we have this, let me move back here. Then we need to say if mathf dot apps, and here we need the last touch dot x minus first touch dot x is less than the math f dot apps, and here we need for the y last touch dot y minus the first touch dot y, like this. So now we would have to say if our last touch dot x is less than our first touch dot x, then we will move, let's do this, move left, else we will move right. These functions we will create in a second. Now we can let me see here how we do this best. Yeah, then remember to go outside this one, this if statement here, and say else. Then we can copy this here, paste it below, and now we have the last touch dot y and the last touch first touch dot y, and here we will move up or jump in this case. Else we will we can say swipe down, and here we will swipe up on the screen, and this swipe down and swipe left and swipe right. Good. So now let's create the functions to move. Let me see where we are. We are in the update. We need to create a new IEnumerator. So let's go below here and say public IEnumerator, and let's call it move, and let's use a string where we use the move position. Let me zoom in a bit, and we will make a switch function, and in the switch we will switch between move positions. And the first one we will say, let's remove this and just say case left. Our speed is equal to 0. Our current position is equal to our transform dot position. Move to position is equal to new vector 3. Here we need our current position dot x minus the distance to move. Then we need our transform dot position dot y, and we need our transform dot position dot z, like this. Then we need to say while our speed is less than our move speed, then speed plus equal time dot delta time. Our transform dot position is equal to vector 2 dot lerp. Current position, move to position, we will use our speed divided with the move speed. Yield return null. And then we need to break it. So this function will move your character to the left just to ramp it up. If the case is left, that you swipe left, our speed will go to 0. Our current position is equal to the transform position, so where your player are now. The move to position is our current position, and we are moving on the x-axis, minus the distance to move. So this is a value that we will configure in a moment. So if for your game you maybe want to have free jumps, so you will start in the middle, you will jump to the left, you will jump to the right, and these are the free positions that you have. But if you want to have that you can move to the left 4 times, then you can just adjust this number, and I will show you that in a moment. And then we just have the y and the z axis. We will not touch this because we are only moving on the x axis. And this is the function that are moving your character, so you're not jumping or to say just from one position to another position. You will smoothly go to the other position, and that is why we are using a lerp for that. So we can simply just copy all this, paste it below, and now we will use right instead. Now instead of minus here, we will have to say plus, because we are going to the to the other side, and everything else should actually be the same. Now let's go up to the move left, and here we can say start coroutine move, and we will use left. Let's copy this down here, and here we'll use the right. So let's try save this and hit back. Let it compile. Let's see how the game view looks. Let's move our camera to the player. Let's move it back a little, go up, let's rotate it 45 degrees. Move it more up so we can see it all. Yeah, my screen is scaled to iPhone, but you can pick whatever you need. Let's go out a bit like this so we better can see it. And here are the distance to move and distance to move. Let's start with 2 and see what happens. Hit play. And remember, this only works on your phone and you can't see it, but I have connected my phone. So when I swipe right to on my phone now, or left, sorry, then you can see we are moving to the different sides. And by increasing this distance to move, let's say 3, now you will just jump further. So if you only have like as I said before, the middle, the left and the right, then let's try 5 here, and then you have these 3 positions. So maybe 4 is a better number in this case. Yeah. Then you have these 3 positions to move to. So now let's get the player to jump. So open up the touch controller again. And here we need to swipe up. There we need to say our rigid body. Oh, did we not add that? Nope, we did not. Let's make our private rigid body and call it RB. And in our start function, we need to say RB is equal to get component, our rigid body, like this. And now we can go down to here and say RB dot velocity plus equal. We of course also need a jump force, so a public float, and call it jump force. So this is how high you can jump. Then say jump, sorry for that, jump force multiplied with vector 3 dot up. So let's save this and hit back. Now the jump force, let's say 10, hit play, and again I'm on my phone to test it. So when I swipe up, the player is jumping, so I can move left or right, sorry, and left, and we can now jump by swiping up. And then you can add your animation for if you want to crawl or something else here. And if you have a jump animation, you should put it in here as well. And the same for your character. If you're moving right or left, you should put it in here. So just fast to show you how you can get your ground to move. Let's take the plane, add a ground controller. Let's open it up. Come on. And here we can say public float game speed. And we remove the start function, and in the update we can say transform.position plus equal vector 3 dot forward times game speed times time dot delta time. Let's save this, head back. And now let's set the speed to 5, hit play. Whoops, we need to go the other way, I can see, so let's just say minus the game speed. So now we are moving, and we can move to the one side and other side, and we can jump. And if we see here in a second, we should reach the end, as you see here. So this is how you can get this to work with a finger touch controller. Yeah, that was what I had to show you in this tutorial. I really hoped it helped you out. Thanks a lot for watching, and see you next time.